Americans are very ingenious people, and the problem was how to communicate with the people who were out in California.
The other thing you got to remember about when you're rewriting it, you got to think when you're out there at night, these guys that carried this thing 24 hours a day, rain, snow, any kind of weather. And there's nothing out here back then. It was open prairie. You didn't know what you're going to run into, and that was pretty unique. And most of them guys were what, 16, 18 years old. It's pretty neat. And we get to reenact that, which is at night you really get the best sense of that.
Every school kid have heard the Pony Express. They know very little about it.
Very few people realize that it was such a blip, small blip in history.
They don't realize it only lasted 18.5 months.
California Gold Rush and the Oregon Trail era back in the 1840s when it all started, that was the largest mass migration of mankind in the world that was not forced upon them. There was roughly 500,000 people on the West Coast.
By 1860, they wanted to, tell their loved ones, hey, this is where I'm at, this is how I am.
At that time, there were only 2 states between Missouri and California, and that was Missouri and California. The rest of it was all Indian territory.
That's 2,000 miles with no one to communicate with.
They were trying to find a shorter, faster route across the western part of the U.S.
And the solution was the Pony Express.
It took a flamboyant character, and a lot of them were if you studied the individual writers.
Wild Bill Hickok, Buffalo Bill Cody,
Johnny Fry.
Pony Bob, his name is Robert Haslam. We know one of the youngest was a substitute rider, was 11, that's Bronco Charlie Miller.
They were looking for young people who were able to ride the trail both day and night.
They run a lot more miles than we did. I think they had a horse that run 15 miles, and then they would switch, and then they might just switch to another horse. And some guys, they'd ride up to 75 miles.
There were riders that did cover 300 miles.
We had storms and snow and tornadoes, just like we do today.
The biggest peril was the Indians.
The people would have to be crazy to take this on.
It was so much more than just a mailman on horses, because it was critical to the nation at that time.
It was the one way that the Union had to stay in connection with California.
The military was just absolutely at heart's end. And a month is too long to say, hey, we've got an uprising out here, we need help.
There were definitely Californians that were pro-slavery and pro-Southern beliefs.
And had the gold from California thrown in with the South at the start of the Civil War, it would have been a major blow for Abraham Lincoln's administration. Might have been a different outcome in the Civil War.